Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you can hear me. All right, just testing everything out. Takes me a minute to get going here. That's okay. Gotta be easy with ourselves during this time. That is what I truly believe. So I'm going to be talking about the new moon in Libra, which is tomorrow. I'm pulling up the chart so I can look at that too. I have to look at like 5 different things to do these things. All right, I got my video pulled up so that I can see if there's any chats. Hopefully I can look at that at the same time. Takes talent, tell you what. Last night I had a wonderful gathering with Earth Church at the Sonnet House in Leeds. That was pretty awesome. I was pointing up at the sky because you can see Mars and you can see Jupiter and Saturn. Just beyond Jupiter and Saturn, something you can't see is Pluto, not with the naked eye. And so I pointed up to explain that, and just as I did, a shooting star came right out of where that was. It was really like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And I was kind of like nervous after that. I was like, am I like being chosen? An angel gonna appear next? Like, it was really, really bizarre. That was fun. I just had to tell that little story. All right, now I think I'm situated. So why do I even care that it's going to be the new moon in Libra, right? Why should you care? Why do you even need to know? Well, it's an important thing to know because for millennia, I think that long, not a historian, I should be, but for a long, long time, we have noticed the cycles in the stars and the planets and how they moved, and we did things according to them. So at a new moon, we plant seeds. And we did this in antiquity, and we are still doing it whether we know it or not. That's what I truly believe. I think that it's a natural human pattern that was built into us over our evolution. And so at a new moon, we are starting things. We are starting a new cycle. So there's some people who measure the cycle of the new moon to the next full moon, which is just in a couple of weeks, right? So every 2 weeks, the moon has a phase. And or every week actually, if you count the squares. But so yes, that's absolutely the cycle. But there's also a longer cycle, and that is 6 months around about. And we have the full moon in Libra in the spring. So we're, setting intentions for the next 6 months of our lives. That's how I look at it, truly. And this particular one is, it's a doozy. I guess that's what you could say. It's a doozy. I'm going to just mom word it all over the place. I love mom words. This next one's a doozy, guys. Okay, anyway, so sorry, I'll stop with the cheesy jokes. New moon in Libra is about balance. It's about compassion. It's about love. It's about relationships to a degree, and that could be romantic, and it typically is, but it could also be your relationship to something, to a habit, to your finances, especially being Venus ruled. That's the archetype of Libra. So that's what we're planting new seeds in. Love, compassion, relationships. Creativity is another Libra thing. Balance. And I think a lot of us have been craving balance. And we've had this interesting thing with the cardinal signs activated during the last year, because the nodes were in Capricorn and Cancer. The cardinal signs are Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra. And they're very hooked into our humanity. That's what I'll say. And I like to say the Vitruvian man when I think of the cardinal signs. And we have had a lack of Libra. So for a year, actually more than that, like 18 months, we had the eclipses happening in Cancer and Capricorn. Right now we've got Mars in Aries retrograde. Beyond that, though, we've just had very short blips of Libra with, maybe the sun going through there or the moon going through there, etc. Every time, though, that we have something go through one of these signs, it activates this cardinal energy. And I think we've had a lack of the Libra, a lack of the balance. We've done a lot of self-nurturing, a lot of exploring our roots and home and family and emotions, and that's Cancer. A lot of reworking our boundaries and our foundations, and that's Capricorn, and our self-mastery, right? And what we really want to be out in the world, Capricorn. The rules. And that now we've got Mars retrograde in Aries, which is me, what I want, my will, my passion, my desires. And here we go now, we've finally got some Libra coming in. And the sun's been there all month since the equinox, which is what Libra is, by the way. When the sun ingresses Libra and Aries, it's the equinoxes, it's equal day and night. And it just so happens that when we ingress Libra, the equal day and night takes on a more composting tone. The leaves fall, we change, we get ready to change our lives, let go of the dead stuff. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. But to see that for what it is, when the leaves start falling, we know that that's going to feed wherever it lands for the next year, right? For the spring. And then, of course, the Aries equinox, that's why Mars rules desire and action, because it's like, yeah, I'm going to take this composted material and I'm going to use it to move forward. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you, Sarah, for blessing me. I needed that. Oh, my goodness. My allergies have, it's that time of year. It's that time of year for everything right now. That's one theme especially with all this cardinal energy. Things happen over and over and left and right, and every day it feels like something's happening. And that is the truth. So that's why during this new moon, I think surrender is a good word for it, because it's opposite Mars retrograde in Aries, which is wanting us to do something, right? And we're frustrated with Mars and Aries. You can't get what you want. I don't know what that is for you, and it's different for every sign, which I will go through later. But, Mars and Aries is, I want this and I can't have it. It could be friendships. You can't hang out with people. It could be career success. Well, we can't make many moves with the things like they are, right? And I'm not saying that these things don't happen for people, but it's really more about figuring out what you desire during this time, because it's hard to get. So if that is human connection, if that is health, if that is anything, whatever you're finding you just can't grasp, but you really want it, that's the Mars retrograde in Aries. And the new moon is opposite that. So you're setting intentions on both of these things, on the idea of what I want, and then the idea of how I relate to others. Who am I, especially in a relationship? Who am I in relationship to my friends? Just wiping my nose there. Who am I in relationship to my home? What do people reflect about me? And I think that's natural to see right now in the world, especially on social media. There are a lot of things reflected back at us right now, even ourselves. Look, I'm looking at myself on camera, very Libra opposite Mars. So this is the dark moon, though, and we can go internal and we go, okay, if I really want this for myself, Mars retrograde, it's not really happening. What new seeds can I plant in my relationships? In the way I share myself? Do I need to take a little bit back? Do I need to reel it in? Do I need to give a little more? What area of my life do I need to balance? And also the things that you love is very Libran. So if you find that you love something and that you're also not getting it, because these two things both affect each other. It's the time to set intentions for that and plant seeds. But there's more going on. All of the Capricorn is squaring that. And it looks like a rubber band being pulled back when I look at the chart. It really is a rubber band being pulled back. And we have that tension. You may even feel it in your body. Slight headache. Knots in your stomach right now. I mean, I know I do. I'm always bracing for the next thing lately, and that tension's very reflected in the astrology. So Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, they've been together for a while. They've been dancing. And when I think about the pandemic, that's the place that I think about is Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in Capricorn. The last time they were there, all in the same sign, was the Protestant Reformation. Also, we changed calendars, big shifts, right, in our foundations, in the government and the authority. I mean, you're talking about a whole sect of people splitting off from the Catholic Church. That is no small feat. The Catholic Church ruled everything around that time and owned everything, right? So that's happening on the macro, and then we're all experiencing that in the micro. And so it's super important for you to be compassionate. And that's what this new moon in Libra is also kind of bringing into our awareness. Be compassionate with yourself, with others. And wow, oh boy. There are a few things that I want to talk about that are pretty controversial. I mean, but I think it needs to be talked about. And I don't have an answer. But what needs to be talked about is the love and compassion for the people who are most different from you. Maybe people who even want to, let's just say, vote for someone who might hurt you, right? That's been a thing that I've been reading and talking to people about. And, that's obviously up to your own free will. But at a certain point, you do have to be aware of the pendulum swing, all the extremes. Just be aware of it. I'm not going to say one thing or another, but to be aware of the total extremes in reality right now, total and complete extreme and division. Just this side. There is no coming to the middle of anything. And rightfully so with some of the issues, right? But be aware of that and hold space for yourself in the midst of all that. You may not be an extreme person. You may be someone who doesn't care if you cut off your family, and that's fine. That's absolutely warranted during times like these, especially if you feel threatened in your body and in your mind. But, and this is where it might get controversial, I don't feel like it's helpful to shame people who may not want to cut off their family. What is helpful? I think that's the most important question. What is love? What is compassion? And yes, it may be absolute compassion to cut your family off. Absolutely, because you don't agree and because they may not want to vote for your body, your autonomy, your safety. Totally warranted. And then there are people who feel emotional security, even with family, that vote against their interests. And it's just such an extreme time. And I have such compassion. I'm not going to cry. I just have such compassion for all of these people. It's a very difficult time. So that's really what I just want to bring in to the thought process here, that no one's having an easy time, right? So if you feel like cutting your family off, man, I have compassion for you. And if you feel deep sadness that you can't cut your family off, but they're still, completely opposite of who you are as a person, I have compassion for you too. And I wish that we could all have compassion for each other and what we feel like we have to do personally. Because right now, the stakes are too high. The stakes are too high to not try to understand. I'm not saying try to understand extreme views, like, obviously You shouldn't try to understand something that hurts someone else, but you can be compassionate with situations like this, you know. Anywhere that you feel like you can be compassionate, just try to open your heart to people. I fear the lack of that for our future. And so actually that's what I hope for this new moon, that we can see how important it is to survive. Mars retrograde in Aries is survival, and we are being threatened with that every day. Every day you walk out your door, you worry, am I going to get a virus? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Are people going to be angry? Am I going to be angry? Is something going to trigger me? Am I going to offend somebody? You know, all of these things come up. And so we can feel, our adrenal system can feel like we're constantly in a fight. And that's what you're going to get out of people. So during this new moon tomorrow, maybe you can be a peaceful warrior. There was a quote I read, can't remember. I'll have to find it. I'll post it later. But you know, there is such a thing as being a warrior for peace, and that sometimes that does mean you got to cut somebody, but sometimes it means you don't. And I think weighing all of that is so important. So we're about to redefine the rules for our society. That is coming. We're in the middle of it. And, you know, that's where free will comes in. This is why I don't predict situations. This is why I don't say, oh, well, you know, this is going to happen. When I look at astrology, I can tell you themes that are coming, and I can tell you what's on the plate to eat, right? But I can't tell you how you're going to eat it or when you're going to eat it or what's going to happen, whether it's going to be raw in the middle. That was a terrible example. My point being, this is why I can't predict, because we all have free will. So if we all raise our consciousness to a point in which we realize the stakes, which we realize just how the balance can be tipped. And it's hard, man. It's hard. There are so many people with such strong and terrible viewpoints, and you can't get through to them. How do you be compassionate? I don't think you can be. I mean, right? It's hard. And it's a hard time. So on top of everything, now that I'm done being emotional about the new moon in Libra, I mean, go figure. It's okay. It's about love and compassion. I'm very passionate about that. I thought I was done crying. We're also having a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Now, that started Tuesday. And, you know, I think that this is a beautiful opportunity because it's opposite Uranus. Uranus is revolution, and Uranus it can be upheaval as well. Let me just do this. Revolution and upheaval in Taurus, which is also ruled by Venus, incidentally, which Libra is too. Venus is also love and compassion in Taurus. It's also more so values and resources in Taurus, right? And Mercury is how you think. Mercury opposite Uranus and Taurus is maybe the ability to accept ideas that we thought we never could, the ability to open our mind, and hopefully this works on the people who have the very closed minds, right? Hopefully the ideas that people get are, everyone values something different. How can we all come to an agreement that works for everyone? That's what you hope. Now, interesting thing is Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio. And Scorpio is intensity, and it's the depths, and it can be secrets. And so we've got maybe some secrets coming out. Perhaps. It's stationed retrograde at 11 degrees. Uranus is at 9. It's not exactly opposite. So when will it be exactly opposite? Let's see. It will be exactly opposite on, looks like Monday. Oh, that's going to be an interesting Monday. I tell you what. Yeah, wow. Where's the moon? Moon hitting the south node. We'll see. We'll see about Monday. It's going to be interesting. Just mark my words. There might be some secrets coming out on Monday. Eek. It could also involve the economy, financial world, all of that jazz. But also you may have a revolutionary difference of thought, flip-flop of thought in terms of what you value, in terms of what you've always found valuable. Because a retrograde is a redo, always is, a revisit. So we're revisiting a thought about our values. It tends to be bigger when it's retrograde. That's, if you go look at Mars, it's bigger and brighter than it normally is because it's retrograde. It's closer to the Earth, right? So when a retrograde happens, it gets bigger, but it's going backwards. So it can be more internal. So it's like you can't express it. But with Uranus opposite, it may pull it out of the depths real fast. It's like lightning hitting a swamp. That to me is gross. I don't know what that might smell or look like, but that's what Uranus opposite Mercury and Taurus is like during this time. I love that the Mercury retrograde cycle does leave Scorpio and go all the way back to Libra, which is where the new moon is. See? And it does this fun little thing where it turns direct, where it stops. When a planet stations, it's like comes, it pulls into the station, that means it stops in order to go the other way. It's like one of those trains that can go both ways. So when it stations, it tends to stir things up there, or maybe keep things from going forward. But with it stationing direct, it's like, oh, it's getting ready to move forward. Guess what day that is? It's election day. That's right. It's election day. So Mercury stations direct on election day at 20, I believe 25 degrees of Libra. Very close to where this new moon is. So you might want to set some intentions for, you know, maybe your outcome that you wish in the election. Might be a good day to do that tomorrow. I do believe we are co-creators and we co-create the future. And if we put it out there all at once, who knows, right? We're making ripples. We're making ripples. So tomorrow, set intentions for election day. I could actually talk a little more about election day. I may do a separate video for that. I think I've been teasing doing a separate video for that for a while. Let me just go over what else we've got going on, because yes, all of that is happening, and I kind of went through all that. But we do have Venus in Virgo, and Venus in Virgo, which is ruling this new moon, is thinking about how we can be of service, right? But also maybe how what we're getting is not super perfect, because Virgo wants perfection, and it can often be too focused on, especially with Venus there, you know. The other vibe of Venus and Virgo, though, is just bringing a lot of love and compassion and healing. And it's coming into a very nice trine with Jupiter, which is another benefic. Venus and Jupiter known as benefics. They benefit you, right? They're big. Oh, Jupiter's big, but they're bright. So they're about to link up right after this new moon. And in fact, during the new moon, they're very close, 16 and 19 degrees of Earth signs. And that day will probably feel pretty good, if I had to guess. Maybe, you know, it's actually on Monday as well when the Mercury-Uranus opposition comes in. I'm just looking forward to Monday. I think that there may be some good, interesting things that come out. I'm just going through to see a few days from now what's going on. On the 21st, Venus trines Pluto. And I think you can really harness the idea of transformation on that day and really going deep, maybe in your shadow, really figuring out how it is you want to change your life and how you want to build. That's going to be a big day. And also, it wouldn't surprise me to see relationships that really aren't going to make it in the future really breaking down during this time. New moon in Libra, that's relationships. Venus trine Pluto, which is like, yeah, I think I'm done. I want to cut this out. Really want to transform my life. You could even say Mercury and Scorpio opposite Uranus and Taurus, because Scorpio does rule how you share resources, which is a very marriage-like thing, right? So then on the 23rd, maybe late on the 22nd, I didn't look at the hours, the sun moves into Scorpio. This is significant because we bring the sun's energy out of Libra, out of that cardinal sign, into a fixed water sign, into the swamp. Here we go. More swamp stuff with Scorpio. There was a debate the other day. Someone was like, I don't think Scorpio's a swamp. And I was like, I think it is. And I'm a Scorpio and I can say it. I'm swamp monster. The sun moving into Scorpio means that it's eventually going to oppose Uranus, which is more upheaval, more lightning, more maybe ideas, innovation. Uranus also rules innovation. But we could be seeing more secrets just all through, of course, right? Of course, leading up to the election. What am I talking about? Like, I'm telling you something you don't know already? Like, yeah, duh. There's going to be all kinds of stuff happening. But it is significant anyway. So that's also what the first quarter square of the moon. Immediately, boom, right there, the 23rd. First quarter squares are not easy generally. And then on October 28th, Venus moves into Libra. Now, students, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that Libra is a cardinal sign. And Mars is retrograde in Aries, which is also a cardinal sign. And Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn are in Capricorn, which is also a cardinal sign. So this makes a square, which is tense, and it's more rubber band pulling. Now with Venus there, Mercury retrograde on the same day moves into Libra, October 28th. So Venus there maybe makes it less of a tense and more like you get some benefit where it's like, oh, I see how this needs to go. And I think we revisit some things from this new moon around that time when Mercury and Venus move in there. It's kind of showing you what you need from others, how to balance things better. I felt super out of balance, and I'm actually counting on this to help balance me out a little more. This new moon, that's what I'm asking for, is some balance, some normalcy, some peace, because Libra rules peace, love, compassion, all of that. And like I said, anything you do tomorrow is going to be setting the tone. Just remember that. So hopefully Venus being there is going to maybe be like a salve, right? Like that's what I'm hoping. But we'll see. And of course, the full moon is on Halloween with Uranus, more upheaval, more shocking upheaval. So, I mean, that covers the next couple weeks till the full moon. I'm probably going to do a second video, but let me go ahead and go through the signs for this Libra new moon. And how it will affect you. Now, I like to say rising sign, because I think that's very significant. Because it really hones in on what house it's in for most people. You can also listen to your sun sign, also very significant. Moon sign I find is less significant. when I'm going through the signs, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we're going to start with Aries rising here. And Aries rising has Mars retrograde in their first house. They're really trying to change themselves, right? They're trying to come up with their new identity, and they know they want to move forward with something, but we need to lay some groundwork, especially in the career sector first, right? So we need to have kind of our structure in place in our outer world in order to move forward in our identity, right? But the new moon is in Libra in your 7th house, Aries rising and Aries suns, and that's relationship. So it could be that if you set new intentions in how you relate to others, even through this identity shift, that you will prosper, especially in your career area. And you'll be able to be exactly what you want to be, especially next year. Next year will be about networking for you. But this year it's about, okay, I need to set groundwork for how I deal with people, how I relate to people, how I come off to people, and balance that out. All right. So for Taurus rising, that is going to be, it's in your 6th house. Okay, so Mars, Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Mars retrograde is in your 12th house. This is the download area, right? This is like where I will download iOS, and then I got to update the phone. And so that may be a little bit how you're feeling, maybe a spiritual sort of redoing, or actually redoing is probably the best way to put it. You could be having some crazy dreams. You could be feeling isolated with Mars retrograde in your 12th house. But, if you really try to learn, because Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in your 9th house of higher education and expanding your mind and adventure, if you spend the time maybe reading, listening to self-help podcasts, just learning more tools, that's going to be helpful. And that's what's keeping you from feeling spiritually aligned right now. But the new moon is in your 6th house. This is an even better way to grasp it. You can set intentions for what you do every day. This is about ritual. It's about routine, who you work with for money. I'm not talking about your career. I'm talking about what you do every day for money. So if you're working with someone and you don't like the way that is, that's setting new intentions on your relationship to people you work with, setting new intentions on your routine, how to balance out your daily life and your health is going to be super important. And then you will reap the benefits in this area of the 9th house, which is really adventure, a higher knowing, a new belief system, new rules for what you believe, maybe an expansion of your mind. All right. Gemini rising. Hello. So you've got Mars in your 11th house and it's also Gemini suns. I don't want to leave you out. Sun and rising. Mars is retrograde in your 11th house of friends and networking and tribe and maybe even future goals, right? So aspirations. And you can feel like you're banging your head against the wall here. Like maybe you really want to be social. Maybe you really want to get out and network. Maybe you really want your goals to be clear, but you can't be clear because why? Because all of this stuff going on in the world and also in your inner world. You're really transforming yourselves because Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto are in your 8th house of transformation, rebirth, shared resources, business partnerships, marriage, sexuality. You can see this is a deep reworking of who you are and what you desire, what your true desires are, the ones you may squash down. So you have to really do a lot of shadow work right now, Gemini rising and Gemini suns, before you can go out and do the networking, right? Before you can do the future goals. There's some things to take care of that are underneath the surface. The new moon in Libra is in your 5th house. The 5th house is the inner child. And so that's what you can set intentions on reworking, balancing. Do you even pay attention to your inner child, your creativity, children in general? This very childlike time for you is setting intentions. You may feel childlike. You may feel like you want to throw a tantrum even with this sort of situation. But with the new moon there, You can balance out if you're listening to your inner child or not, if you're even looking at childhood issues, if you're healing that inner child, those inner wounds. This could also be an intention to be creative, to open yourself up there. Maybe you haven't even tried to be creative lately. Maybe you think you're not a creative person. That might help you get in touch with these deep desires. But I'll tell you where our deepest desires come from. They come from our childhood. They come from the inner child. So take a look at that area of your life, and then you'll reap the rewards. You'll understand yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you can really set goals for the long-term future. Okay. Cancer rising, Cancer suns, Mars retrograde in your 10th house. I really would love to be successful. That's what that is maybe making you feel right now. I would really love to be successful in the outer world. I'd really love. And so, you know, you're banging your head against the wall in your career. That's all I can say. You can't really move forward there because something about relationships are holding you back, whether it be your relationship to authority or relationship to your partner. Maybe there's an authority imbalance there, power plays, just things maybe not being perfect in your relationship area. So you have to really rework that, redefine your rules about relationships. And this new moon in Libra will help you because it's in your 4th house of emotional security. And you need to bring some love and compassion to the emotional security place in your life. That's very important for Cancer rising, Cancer sun. If your home is not peaceful, if you do not feel at home, you're not going to feel good, period, during this time. You have to really try to look at these areas before you can move forward in life. And you will. Next year is really good for maybe making more money, maybe meeting people that you can go into business with, sealing the deal, right? But first you have to do the inner work, and that requires you to bring peace to your home and love to your home, and ultimately your own emotional security. This is really about self-nurturing. Okay. So we've got Leo rising, Leo sun. Mars is retrograde in your 9th house, Leo rising, Leo sun. You really probably want to travel and can't. That's probably a thing. But also go on adventures and expand your mind. We're not really in a situation to be able to do that. And so that's Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter in your 6th house, right? Everyday life might feel like a lot of work for you. Like, I got to be at home again and work from home again, and that's really not cool. But that's really what you have to be doing. You're supposed to be working on your routine. You're supposed to be working on your health. That's really important. And that's possibly why Saturn's there saying, no, you can't move forward here right now. You have to pay attention to your daily routine, your health, who you work with, all of those things. It could be a career change for you as well. But the new moon in Libra is in your 3rd house. This is a chance to change your mind and to bring more mental balance to your life. So I really encourage you to set intentions to be more balanced in terms of maybe what information you take in every day, maybe taking a social media break. It could also be, I don't know, maybe you do 800 Zoom calls a day and you need to take a break from that, or switching up something in your everyday life and your local environment. That's what this new moon in Libra can be about. But it is really about balancing your life day to day. I think that's the most important thing for you. All right. So now we go to Virgo rising. Good old Earth signs. Virgo rising, and Virgo sun. Mars is retrograde in your 8th house of shared resources, your shadow work. Could be loss, could be power plays. It's definitely deep desires that maybe you don't want to look at. That's Mars retrograde in your 8th house. So that's a tough place to have the Mars retrograde. Let me say that. You can feel like your survival is threatened, right? And maybe being triggered on a very subconscious, deep level you don't even realize. The Saturn Pluto Jupiter conjunction is in your 5th house. That's your inner child. That is your enjoyment, so maybe life hasn't felt that fun for you, especially with the pandemic and all of the outer world troubles, and it's really affecting that inner child, that ability to enjoy life. But that's exactly what you're supposed to be trying to do, is enjoy life, even despite the power plays, the loss, even despite the responsibilities. But it can also be a sobering up of that inner child, if you've been too loose and too loose with your habits, maybe unhealthy in some way. But the new moon in Libra is in your 2nd house of self-worth, and I love that. And finances, by the way. So if you really want to bring some balance to this area, tomorrow is a good time to set intentions to bring balance to the area of your life that is about self-worth, confidence. Actually, with the 5th house there too, I could see this being an actual, you need to set intentions to be confident in yourself and to really have some personal authority and to speak from your heart with this new moon in Libra, for sure. So try to do that and love yourself, find balance. Don't be too much of this and too much of that. You don't have to always show up and be this person at work. You can be goofy. You can be the kid. And, you don't have to always be the comedian if that's what you always are. You can also have authority. So just try to find some balance, especially in terms of your self-worth, who you are. All right. Libra rising. This Mars retrograde is in your 7th house. Libra suns also. So relationships could be trouble for you, and you really may be frustrated with them. Like, why can't this just go right? I just really want my relationship to work out. It's because you need to rework your inner world. You're really trying to find the foundation of what makes you feel safe in the world, in your home, in your emotional security. And really, this is about reparenting yourself and saying, what, I deserve more. First of all, absolutely, I deserve more. I deserve to feel safe. And I also can self-soothe. I think self-soothing is one of the big things. I don't need that out there to feel good, to feel safe, to feel secure. And then the new moon in Libra is in your 1st house, which is you. It's your identity. It's who you are. So you're setting intentions to really, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna strike out. I'm gonna be this person. This is what I'm doing now. That's the new moon in Libra for you. It's really loving yourself, feeling yourself, right? Set intentions to feel yourself for this new moon. Libra, rising and sun. I mean, it really is your new moon. Okay, Scorpio rising. Here we go. Mars retrograde in your 6th house of health and daily life. So it seems like something every day is like, really, again, this, maybe frustrating you, aggravating you, angering you, and you feel motivated to fix it. Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter in your 3rd house are like, well, you have to open your mind and think differently about this. We need to redefine the rules. We need to think open-minded about this. We need to change our mind about that. And you're really undergoing a mind restructuring and the way you think. Even the way you do things with the 3rd house could also be siblings. So the Libra new moon is in your 12th house of spirituality, and escape could be isolation, also dreams, confusion. But I would say to set intentions tomorrow on maybe a new spiritual practice, on showing some love to your mental health, right? To the things that you consider bigger than yourself. If you can foster that and grow that spiritual area of your life or the mental health in your life, it will really help you next year when Saturn moves into Aquarius. So that's for Scorpio rising. It's definitely about and Scorpio Sun is definitely about a spiritual practice. I would say that would be the best thing for you to do. Just get real serious about it. You know, if it's 5 minutes of meditation a day. And I know some Scorpio risings claim to not be deep. Your sign is the deepest. Okay? You know, like I'm not deep. I don't do those things. Try it. You might like it. And if you don't like it, it may just be the work that you need to do, whether you like it or not. That could be chanting. It could be just lighting some sage and walking around your house. Whatever it is that gets you out of yourself and into somewhere different. Okay. Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun. Mars is in your 5th house. So some temper tantrums. This is the inner child. You may feel like you're not enjoying life at all either. Like you just want to have fun and things aren't working out. You can't have fun right now. The world is gloomy. Everything's weird. And you're not getting what you want. Well, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter have been restructuring what you value. So I think the lesson there is maybe you should look at your values and say, wait a minute, maybe what I'm pushing for over here because I think I want it is not what I really value. I'm an adult now. And that's sort of the situation going on here. I never tell people to ignore their inner child, but sometimes you do have to discipline yourself, right? But also having a higher sense of self-worth as well. Sometimes Mars retrograde in the 5th house can be getting your feelings hurt. Someone hurts your inner child. And you have to remember you are your own authority and you can feel worthy without feedback from others. The new moon, Sagittarius risings and sun, is in your 11th house of friend groups and goals. So if you have felt out of balance, maybe you need some people in your life. It could be also, 11th house rules technology, but maybe you need to dream a little bit about the future. You know, where do you want to be in a few years? That's a good practice for you for tomorrow's new moon. Especially in terms of your values. What do you value? All right, Capricorn rising and Capricorn sun. Mars is retrograde in your 4th house of home. So things at home may not be exactly fun. Your emotional security may be challenged. It's like, I just want to feel not upset right now. But you're undergoing identity restructuring. And so, you know, you cannot, if you're building a new home, typically it's not on the same ground you built it on your old home on. Your old home's still there, right? You're leaving it. And I'm looking at that as like your identity, right? So you're building a new identity. You just have to remember you're building it on a new foundation. And this foundation is a different you somehow. Now, the new moon in Libra is in your 10th house of career. So maybe that's where you can look to set intentions. It's like maybe it's a change of career you need in order to feel better. Maybe it's a change in how everyone sees you. Maybe you haven't allowed yourself to really be that in public. You know, maybe you're afraid to dye your hair, but you really wanna. You know, you're going off old emotional security cues when you have a new authority to stand on, a new foundation to stand on. All right. Oh yeah, so set intentions for how you appear to people in the world, your reputation, being what you really want to be in the world, and career. Capricorn rising. All right, so Aquarius rising and Aquarius sun. You have Mars retrograde in your 3rd house, so you've been under a lot of mental stress, probably just stressful day-to-day things, you know, maybe communication being weird. Mars retrograde in your 3rd house is also like a Mercury retrograde. But you have been restructuring yourself spiritually, background programming. And so that's what you're really supposed to be focusing on. And probably this Mars in your 3rd house is testing that, which is okay. It's okay. But the new moon in Libra is in your 9th house. And so you can set new intentions to learn something new, maybe get more tools. Again, this is more of like a self-help podcast, read a book sort of situation. You may need to travel, and that's hard to do right now in the 9th house. You know, go on a trip, whether that be in reality or some other way. But the new moon in Libra in the 9th house is definitely about opening your mind, expanding your mind. It's the house of higher education and adventure and learning. And so that's what you really want to be bringing some balance to your life there. And then this will also help boost you spiritually. It's going to probably open up and make a lot of things that the networking, the rewiring your brain is doing right now is going to be connected when you start to do this 9th house, which is maybe searching for philosophies or finding something that works for you in terms of maybe read some Carl Jung and you do some shadow work, something like that. But there's something philosophical that you need to bring balance to your life in order to make it all make sense. All right, last one, Pisces rising and Pisces sun. All right, Mars retrograde in your 2nd house. It's like, I just want to be financially stable. Can I just have some money, please? That'd be really cool. I just want money. But also value. I want to value myself. And you're healing that right now because Chiron's there. But Mars retrograde is really frustrating. It's like, I'm not able to. But there's still some goals that you need to tweak. Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter in your 11th house. And also maybe some people you still need to cut out of your life, right? You're redefining your tribe, you're networking with this, and you're also redefining your goals. You know, like if you've got goals that have hung on from your old life, let them go. It's about new goals now. That's when you're going to get financially stable. So the new moon is in your 8th house, how you share resources with others. This would be the house of marriage. This would be the house of also transformation, life and death. So yeah, you're definitely undergoing a transformation this month, and you're setting intentions on how to do that in a balanced way, right? So how can you bring love and compassion to the area of the shadow? And the area of maybe the place where you're hooked with people you don't need to be hooked with. That's what I keep getting for this 8th house, 11th house stuff. Something needs to be cut out, possibly, in terms of maybe business partners, partners in general. And you may experience some loss, but it could be a loss of, you know, a loss of an old habit. So don't take that to be super serious or scary, but you're definitely undergoing transformation with this new moon. So I would say, hey, Spirit, let this transformation be peaceful and easy if possible. But look to the people in your life, the groups in your life. Look at what's going on there, how you relate to them. Do you let them have power over you? I would tend to think Pisces risings is not grabbing for power depending on your chart. So, you know, half the time you're probably letting people have power over you. And that really needs to be addressed in this new moon. Yeah, tweak those goals, set new intentions on how you share yourself with people. Okay, so that goes through all of the signs, and I'm going to try maybe come back and do another video on some other things, perhaps the Mercury retrograde through the signs. Although Mercury retrograde again will go to where this new moon is. So you can pretty much, you know, say that that's an area the Mercury retrograde is going to affect as well. So pay attention to that too when you go back and listen. I'm going to post this on YouTube with the timestamps for each sign. If you want to share it with your friends, that'd be awesome. If you want to share it with anyone, I really appreciate it. And if you want a session that goes more in depth into how these transits also affect or touch the planets in your chart, I can do that. I would love to do that with you. Thank you so much if you've tuned in. I hope that this made sense. I hope my crying didn't put anyone off, because I do it. I cry. Cancer rising, whatever. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and look for the YouTube link later.